Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 3, complete recap. This is one of the streams I think many of you have been waiting on because there's so many subtopics, so many things going on. We're going to be talking about this for the next couple days, one topic or another. Hopefully many of you got to join in. How many people liked the 7:30 stream? I know it was quick, about 10 minutes, but we are going to do double shots all week long, so I want to thank you guys just for being here, for being patient. Can I really quickly do something? I don't do this often, but every once in a while before we get into the stream, I do want to give just several shout outs because many of you have been here for a long time. You guys can see we're changing the UI a little bit. I want to give a shout out to the PDL sponsors, Tyler, Pete, Wilson, Will DeBill, Terry Goucher, Amy Ferrero, Emmy Bacon, Gina Crockett, Crystal Newfield, and the Walking Dead Nerd, really making that game possible for us on Friday and also on Saturday. But I don't want to forget about some of the longtime patrons that have been making this channel possible for a long time. So if you guys got about 30, 40 seconds, just bear with me. I want to give special shout outs to the longtime Patreon army. These are people who've been here for a long time, whether they're PDL sponsors or sponsoring at varying degrees. So I want to say thank you to Steph, Emmy, Brene, Jamie Jordan, Brad Lee, Maggie B, Michelle Melton, Gina Crockett, Jim Kelly, Chris Rainick, Deborah Cox, Girl in a Chihuahua, Diane Estes, Jimmy's Jammin', longtime supporter. Thank you, Jimmy. Deborah Johnson, Jason Mixologist Daily, Villar, Tim Lamora, Eric Beach, Holly Pierce, Crystal Gore, Darling Rain, Ignited Living Fred, Wilson, Vicky Jack, Bob Dorman, Steve Smitherman, Sheila Beasley, Alan Arthur, Robert Frank. You guys know Robert Frank's bodybuilding channel. Joe Fulford, Stefanella, Anissa Wallace, Joyce Andrews, Tegan, Will the Bill, Rosie Duarte, The Walking Dead Nerd 13, Terry Goucher, Whit Hernandez, Maggie Atherton, Viola McGowan, Folded Hugs, Deidre Lesage, Julia Muse, Brenda Vickers, sorry Brenda, Kimberly M, Christina, Fluff Salisbury, Crystal Newfield, Glenda Batista, Tyler Bradley, Kitten, Gene Alexander, Karen Rife Like Knife, Jennifer Panfill, DeMilo Young, Segan Humble, Judy Perry, Michael Marino, Angel Caloris, Beth Brigette, Amy Ferrer, Lori Rink, Tina Godford, Sherilyn, Tuck, Sith, Negan, Pete D, Dennis Staley, Everett Hopkins, Matt Pat, Ash Manning, Wendy Ridge, Melvin V, and Brian Wright. Wow, I got through it. Whew, I did it, everybody. Now, let's get to what we want to talk about. I don't do that often, but I need you guys to know these guys have been around for many, many years supporting the channel. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. I am just humbled and flattered each and every day that you guys show up, that you guys watch the ads, that you contribute to the channel, and more than anything else, you guys participate in the streams, that you guys are a big part of everything we do. And also the green team there, we're going to do something special for those guys. But you guys got custom emojis and you got badges and a lot of other stuff as well too. But hey, don't get me wrong, my green team is awesome, awesome, awesome as well too. Eric Beach in the house, good evening Army. This is the best stream on YouTube. Thank you. That is some high praise. So this stream is going to go on for a little bit. That's why I wanted to do that early. I'm up to 13 pages of notes for The Walking Dead. So there's a lot of just crazy, good stories. I know you guys just had a great time. We've done several streams just jumping into it. What did you guys think about the hours? Were you getting a little bit drunk, punch drunk, insomnia? I mean, were you kind of feeling it along with them? One thing that I thought was a great use of a strategy, I guess, for fear of another word, there wasn't a lot of talking. So I was almost like looking for the dialogue, like when are they going to start talking? And you see like Eugene motion over. And then the only words really in the first couple hours weren't even words. It was Gage going, wah! You know, he was doing his karate moves. And I just kind of felt like, whoa, say something a little bit more. And when they finally got to dialogue, it was Aaron and Carol and Michonne really talking about, you know, they keep coming. They're just more and more and more. So super relatable. Christmas Girl said I liked it, gave the concept of time. It really did. And was anybody else here like counting on their fingers just to make sure that the time wasn't messed up and like looking, and is it dark? Is it light? You know, are they getting delirious? So I couldn't really figure out a lot of what was going on with it. My time kept getting messed up. Got a couple questions here. Is Patreon the YouTube support or something different? Rhonda DeLuca, it's something different. There's several different types of support we have for this channel. One is, you guys see the join button down there. If you hit that join button, there's different tiers that you can jump into. You you get the custom emojis, you get badges, all of those things. The Patreon is a little bit different. It is a third-party site. There's a link down below. And the Patreons, they get a little bit extra. I share some personal pictures, some ideas. I do some custom polls. I bring their ideas into here. And they're a big part of PDL. They're what's making, they're the engine that's driving that. So, yeah, we're so blessed to have several different types of sponsors. We got Lure the Purr, 100% agreed. Best, you guys stop it. A lot of flattery going on, but, well, you know, if you guys mean by best streams, it's the best group. I'm not going to go out there and say I'm the best host because I have a microphone. I'm just very passionate about hanging out with you guys. So I'm a good enough host, but I will tell you, you guys absolutely make it a pleasure to be here each and every night. All right. So the different times certainly had me guessing and looking and you know, trying to figure out, is it daylight, is it not daylight? But I'm going to go through just a few of these things I took with notes. 6 a.m., Carol, the alarm goes off. It sets the stage right from the beginning. She's popping pills, man, and the alarm's going off, and it's like, whoa, something is a little bit shady with Carol. Like, she just can't cope. She's having a hard time with this. So it kind of plants that seed early on, and then, you know, that is an underlying theme all throughout. Then we get to hour 2. Eugene looking through the binoculars. Hour 4, that's Gage. That's 9 o'clock in the morning. A lot of smiling going on, you know, real low key. Hour 6, Aaron looks a little concerned. Then we get hour 11, Aaron and the group, they kill a lot of walkers. You can see the work they're putting in. Hour 13, Eugene looks at the area. Eugene motions. Aaron says, most of them are coming from the border. Carol, is it her? Michonne, lock it down. We've been trained for this. Then we get to hour 14. More killing. Hour 19, it's midnight, more killing, and you just go through this exhaustive phase until we finally get to hour 49. And at hour 49, I think, is where it really, Michonne looks out at the walkers in one direction, then she looks the other direction, and you can see the fear on her face. She absolutely knows that they can't handle this herd that's coming up. She doesn't know if it's Alpha doing it or if it's just a lot of dead people. But I got to say, I'm not sure if it's Alpha, but there is somebody is doing this. Somebody is wearing them down. What are your thoughts? Do you guys deep down think that it is Alpha, like pulling the strings here? I mean, it's just way too many. And there are whispers on their side of the land, and they have been watching. Julia Muse says some whispers. Zeke, I'm not sold on it. So that's kind of the way I feel. Zeke, I'm not sold on it either. And is it possible, maybe not likely, is it possible it's an inside job? Is it possible that this silenced, there you go, Jim, that's what I'm thinking. Is it the person painting Silence the Whispers that's just really trying to start everything and get them to fight back? I'm not going to say it's Carol, or maybe Carol is the one. Is it possible that Carol's the one that wants to silence the Whispers? Or, dare I say, is it possible that Carol may be suffering from multiple personality disorder? I don't know if we've ever approached that on The Walking Dead. Look, we've had Carl, we've had suicide, we've had paranoia, we've got insomnia, we've got a lot of things. But Carol is losing the fight between fantasy and reality. She's hearing stories. So it could, Michelle G. I mean, Siddiq as well. Carol just seems like she's a little more back and forth. And what I really like about this is we don't know. I mean, we're questioning, other than spoiler sites, we've been able to pin down, I know spoilers get out there, but we're able to pin down the story. And I mentioned this a little bit the other night. A couple seasons ago, I liked Fear messing with time because it kept me on my toes. Angela Kang said something, and I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but I'm going to ask for volunteers. And hey, before I ask for volunteers, I'm going to ask for volunteers. We're going to bring back our old saying, Pike the like button, everybody. If you guys love what we do, if you're having a good time, I need everybody stepping in this room to hit that like button and show everybody that watches the playback who we are, what we do, what we talk about. So, has anyone here ever, and it's bizarre, it's weird when it happens, hasn't happened to me often, but I can remember once or twice. Have you ever had a dream that you were dreaming in your dream? It is freaky, it is crazy, it is certainly, you wake up and then you wake up again. Okay, now hopefully you caught this. When Angela Kang she admitted that they're doing some of this, which was pretty cool. She says, there's some dreams, and then you don't know what's a dream, and you don't know what is a dream within a dream. And when she said that, it just kind of clicked to me like, now we're not going to have a dream within a dream within a dream. That's a little bit too overboard. I've never had that happen. I can't even imagine if it's possible for your brain to do that. But having a dream of a dream is creepy. And Carol heard Henry. She saw Henry. She heard a story by Daryl. We're going to do an entire stream later on this week, and we're going to talk about the psychological state of Carol. Now, at the end, some of it is real, but I would say probably 90% of what she's dealing with is not real. And it's up to us to sort of filter out. Now, the writers helped us out a little bit with the gunshot wound, and one way that we can always tell is when things happen and the characters aren't involved in it. So we were the only one that saw that, so we know that Carol really did shoot one of the Whisperers. And that's going to be a problem. But you can't blame her. Michonne screaming, take them captive. But if Carol has crossed the line between fantasy and reality, how can you blame her for her mental state? More to come on that. So let's, we get to the point. I do want to talk about Gamma just for a couple minutes. Because Gamma's voice, and I could be completely wrong on this, but her voice reminded me of, that worker that works their job. Maybe you've been there. Maybe, we've been that worker at some point in our lives where they don't really like their job. For example, you go to Chick-fil-A. In Chick-fil-A, I'm going to give a kills coin to the first person. Tell me, what do they always say at Chick-fil-A? Blows my mind. Best customer service in the world. Kel, hopefully you're watching because this is going to go fast. If you guys don't know what a kills coin is, you can use it on Freestyle Friday for a super chat. Jim09, there you go. First person to type it. My pleasure. You feel something, right? When, hey, thanks for that. My pleasure. My pleasure. It feels good when you go there. It's almost like they enjoy their job, and they might. But if they don't, they're really good at faking they enjoy their job. But I feel it. So, but there's other places you go, and somebody's either looking the other way, they don't make eye contact, and it's kind of like, can I take your order? Sure. We'll be with you in a minute. Kind of like that. Did you guys feel that with Gamma? Because I did. Even her voice, go back and listen to it. Daryl's like, wait for what? Her. It wasn't like Alpha. Alpha's going to see you. It was kind of like, go to the north border and wait. Wait for what? Her. And the more I listen to that, I'm thinking like, she's not a happy employee. She's bought in. She did what she needed to do. but I didn't feel the Gamma strong. I feel like Gamma is, well, I either got to be on this side or that side. This side's probably going to win. I'm going to be on this side. Got a couple super chats. Fluff the Flamethrower. I hear the voice of a guy that I've never seen, usually around 9:30 p.m. on most nights. There you go. All right. Well, I don't know what to tell you, Fluff. Hey, Fluff, am I real? Am I a dream? Am I a dream within your dream? You never know. Good point, though. Thanks for that, Fluff. Appreciate that super chat. And we got Eric Beach. Gamma seems to be usurper of the throne. Okay. Yes, I would say that. So, Gamma does appear to be waiting for her opportunity, but and I got to be careful how I say this. It can't be obvious to the audience and it can't be obvious to the whisperers, because Beta already has his doubts about her. Alpha needed convincing, and Gamma did everything that you need to do. But Gamma also, I felt, had a different tone to her voice. Like with Beta, it was subservient. It was, I feel nothing for you, but this is as Alpha wishes. Like, she's playing the good role. But then when she was with Daryl and Michonne, I felt kind of like, for her. Just kind of, it just felt different. That I could see Gamma turning and then dying a very, very tragic death. I think Beta's going to kill her. Gushe in the house, super chat. Thank you so much, Gushe. Appreciate that. Joe Fulford, I saw your earlier stream. Are these Pike deaths going to happen next week? No. Joe, there's several reasons why these Pike deaths cannot happen next week. Well, if it is Ezekiel. Now, I also know, let me say this. And please don't post spoilers in streams. I know many of you get spoilers from a third-party website we won't talk about here, but I know spoilers are out there. But let me say this about spoiler sites. When they say Maggie is filming with Ezekiel and Jerry, okay? That's not a direct spoiler, and I'll tell you why. Because sometimes they fake out. Sometimes they do reshoots. So just because somebody is filming right now does not mean it is episode 13, episode 14, episode 16. It could be, it might not be. And I saw that post a little bit earlier. They do go back and reshoot scenes. Now, I will also say, I don't think Ezekiel's going to die next week. And if those Pikes we predicted earlier are correct, and I'm on the fence between Zeke and Jerry. Now, Jerry could die next week, but I feel more like it's going to be Ezekiel. And we know Ezekiel, they've got to build the relationship between Ezekiel and Michonne. We got to see that. That's not going to happen next week. There's no way that we can see Ezekiel and Michonne kissing next week when we haven't even seen that story at all, and then him dying next week. So I would safely say Ezekiel, if that is him on the Pike, has got another 6-7 episodes. If it's Jerry, I doubt all those deaths are going to happen that fast. They're all going to happen next week. So I would safely say 6, 7, or 8. Okay? 6, 7, or 8 is where I would really start to look for it. Got a couple more super chats in here. I got Will the Bill. I'm here. You're in my ear. Busy, but listening. And thank you so much for that, Will. And glad that you're here. We got a good group tonight. We got a packed house. Thanks for all of you guys for being here. We're going to be going on a little bit because we got a lot of topics to talk about. And You guys know, if you super chat, I'm going to stop whatever I'm talking about and I'm going to call on you guys because I got a ton of people with some really good insights, some really good thoughts, and I'm going to get as many other comments I can in this video as well. Lure the Purr says, I don't know if YouTube or Patreon tells you, but this is Tyler. I just changed my name, 999 Haunting. Actually, Tyler, I had no idea that was you, but now I know. So Lure the Purr is Tyler Bradley. Tyler is one of our elite PDL sponsors, so thank you so much, Tyler. Appreciate that. But no, I had no idea. I thought it was a different person. But appreciate that. Tyler, are you at work? I know you listen a lot from work. Are you off hanging out with us tonight? Just kind of curious. Because we're going to be here for a little bit. We got some good stuff to talk about. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier when I was doing the shout-outs. We're going to be doing double shots all week long. So tomorrow night, 7:30. 9:30. Wednesday night, 7:30, 9:30. Thursday night, 7:30, 9:30. Friday night is going to be Freestyle Friday. We start with the Walking Dead topic. We're going to mix it up. We give away kills coins, super chats, all of that wild madness. And then we're going to go into our video game, our online role-playing game, Play Dead Live. So we switch it over. We get scenarios going. It's a mix of Walking Dead, D&D, just ton of role play mixed into everything. We have a great time doing it, unique scenarios, so that'll happen. Saturday, after everybody watches the AMC premiere, we do our spoilers at 11 o'clock Saturday. And this Saturday evening, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a second Play Dead Live. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be one of our first quests. So I got to get the schedule in there because I know a lot of you guys will say, YouTube didn't send me a reminder. So, I want to tell you guys a few times during the week so you just kind of know what to look for. And this is our peak season, so it's not uncommon for us to do double shots. So we'll do 2 streams every night. We might do it again next week if you guys are having a good time. The first one just won't be like super long streams. It'll be 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. So good topics around Gamma. Then we got probably one of my favorite scenes. I had 2 favorite scenes. Alpha was one. But I think the council scene went under the radar. God, there was so much good stuff in here. Really quickly, can I do this one more time? I know we did this earlier. How many people thought last week's episode was a perfect 10? Let's just be honest, because I watched it Saturday morning, and dude, I am still like crazy excited about it. Like Saturday, I was pumped up. I wanted to talk to you guys like the people hadn't watched it. And then the reaction video was great. And then tonight doing the recap. And we're not going to get through all the recap. But if you guys absolutely loved it, if it was one of your favorite, because I could talk about Negan, I could talk about Rosita, I could talk about Carol, I could talk about the Whispers. They had so many different stories, and every single one of them was good. There was not a bad story that was told. So let's jump into the council. The council had what a great mix. Michonne just nailed it with her leadership. She started out and one thing we haven't talked about is when the girl stood up and said, the highwaymen demand justice, and Engage stands up, yeah, let's put their heads on pikes. Siddiq started feeling nauseous. He does not want to deal with the Whispers, and it's one thing for him to get up and walk away. It's another thing for Michonne to, during all of this chaos, for her to say, are you okay? And he's like, I got to get some air. And then Daryl gives him like a double glance as well too. And I know later on, Dante told the war story, and Siddiq kind of smiled. They had a drink together. But I got to tell you guys, I don't think that they've told this story about Siddiq to just have him cured with a 5-minute conversation with Dante. I think Siddiq is going to be in and out. And Chris, I got to tell you guys, we talked about this last year and we used the word traitor, and it was popular and then it got unpopular. But I got to be honest, I am not convinced that Siddiq, I don't know if I would use the word mole, but I'm not sure that he didn't sell out to save his life. Here's why I don't think he's a mole. I don't know that Siddiq is out there disappearing. I don't know that he would be able to get information over to Alpha, especially, when they're migrating or doing their things. But let me say this. Because we didn't see it, I'm starting to change my course on Siddiq. And I think he begged for his life. I don't think he's a traitor. I don't think he's a mole. But I think he cut some type of deal with Alpha. And maybe it was him. Maybe it was him where when he said that she spared me so I could tell this story, it might have been his idea. Don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me. I will make sure that they follow your lead. I will do this. I'm not so sure that he's not the one that instigated that conversation. Does that make sense? There's a difference between being a mole and hey, Alpha, meet me over here. I got some intel. I don't see that happening. I think it's kind of hard for him to sneak away. But to beg for his life, that's a little different story. Now, it becomes more complicated as well. This is where it's a little tricky. Because, you know what? I'm going to call a few people out here. This is where I like to do a little thing. Well, I like to call on a few people. I'm going to call this segment The Jets because we're going to make it real. Little music reference. So I see a couple of you, Christmas Girl, a few other people. He's being spineless. He shouldn't have did this. He shouldn't have did that. All right, let's make it real. How many of you, if you had a family and these crazy people were cutting off everybody's head, how many of you would honestly beg for your life? Or would you be macho and die for the group and just, hey, you know what? All right, yeah, fine. Kill me too. Come here. Let me spit on you, Alpha. You're going to kill me first. Or how many people would say, wait a minute. If I can reason with her and be back with my family, you know what? Almost everybody in here, when you are that powerless, so a couple people said I would go out fighting. So I'm not saying that Siddiq didn't fight. I think all of them fought. But here's the thing that I want you guys to understand. It's a small clue, but it's something that I need everybody here to fully get. Everybody fought. There was a clue that came out. In last week's episode, I'm going to give a kills coin. This is going to be like a Benjamin Stevenson's going to get this one right. But there was a clue that told me everybody fought and they didn't get decapitated while they were fighting. First person that can tell me how I know this. Siddiq fought. Everybody fought. Ozzy fought. They didn't get their heads cut off while they were fighting. They were tied up and put in a lineup even though we didn't see that happening. Not from Siddiq's memory. I'm going to give a kills coin. Not that they weren't splattered with blood. Much, much simpler than that. Exactly. Roxanne Dunlap gave the complete thought. A couple of you guys said Alpha said so. I'm going to give it to Roxanne Dunlap. Alpha said before we beheaded him, he said your name. I'm getting cold chills thinking about that. And I'm going to get to Will the Bill. So Henry cried out. They fought them. They beat them down. Then they tied them up. Henry wasn't running around like punching Alpha saying, Carol, Carol. He said, your son screamed your name right before we took his head. Which means Siddiq was not spineless. Siddiq was the last to be killed. They killed each one of them, and then they got to Siddiq after he witnessed all of them being killed. Henry screamed out Carol's name. Siddiq cut a deal. Siddiq is the one that said, spare me. Now, I don't think, maybe he said something along the lines of, hey, when the time comes, I'll help you. But he's feeling the guilt. He's feeling like a traitor right now. And he's guilty because he's still alive. That's what I feel. Survivor guilt. That's what I feel with Siddiq. And some of you, and not to pick on Christmas Girl, but I wanted to draw that comment because she said he's spineless. I don't think he's spineless. I think he fought. But then I think he witnessed all of that and said, what can I do to be with my family? It's very dicey. We got Will the Bill super chat, and Will the Bill says, I said in the post, barn boy, got each one out to the barn for Alpha. Why, I don't know. Maybe he was threatened, but he was made to watch the killings. His fear was real, but his story wasn't. Absolutely. So let me read that again. So Will the Bill said in his post, 100% I agree with this. He was threatened, made to watch the killings. He's afraid, but his story was not. And certainly when he told the story, she left me alive so I could tell this story. Well, maybe, Will, a little bit of the story's true. But he left out part of it. She left me alive after I begged for my life so I could tell you guys the story. And I think that's the slight little part that he made it look as Alpha showed mercy on her own. That's the difference. And let me say this to everybody. Alpha is capable of showing mercy. To a degree. Here's how we know this. All right, 1. The group lied to her. Michonne looked her in the eyes and point blank said, it was one time. Now, here's a kills coin. Kills coin for whoever gets this right. Other than the Whisperers, there are 2 people that knew it was 3 times. Which 2 people knew that they crossed the border 3 times? Not Carol and Daryl. Walking Dead nerd, first person to get it. Michonne and Aaron. The rest of the group, Walking Dead nerd, good job. The rest of the group knew it was twice. They knew the winter crossing. They knew the fire. But Aaron and Michonne, 3 times. Michonne, Aaron's not there. Michonne looks her right in the eyes and lies to her. Now, Alpha has forgiven Carol. Mother to mother, I forgive you. Yes, she forgave her mother to mother. But here's my question, and we know she's marking you have to be punished. She is going to punish them. Will she punish Michonne for lying? Michonne looks her right in the eyes and says, it was one time. 3 times. 3 times. And Michonne looked like, oh my God, she just caught me in a lie. Like, really, you just got busted lying to Alpha. How do you do that? How do you do that? Michonne, like, you know. Michonne could have said, hey, it was a couple of times. It was an accident. So, is Michonne going to be punished in some way, shape, or form for lying to Alpha? Aha! See, there we go. There we go. Taps Ghost Lover. I like it. You should fear me. Michonne's going to say, I don't. You should have heard the king scream your name just before we took his head. Whew. Next line. Michonne is hitting it off with Zeke. Michonne lied to Alpha to her face. Sorry, king. You have to be punished. Michonne has to be punished. Your love affair, your next relationship, and we know it's not a friendship relationship. The king could lose his life because Michonne has been gambling with the wrong woman. Wrong woman. You don't mess with Alpha. All right, I'm just super, I'm hyped just about all the good little, I'm paranoid. Like, I'm scared to death that Alpha's going to come, like, mix it up, man. Alpha is, what a great tap. You're on the money with that. Absolutely love it. It certainly completes that Michonne theory. So as we talked about, I know with the council, and I want to talk about Siddiq in the council, because we didn't touch on that last time. But just really quick, I'll gloss over it. Michonne's leadership, while in the council, came out extremely well, even though they were tired. She lets everybody say what's going on, and then she looks for proof. Daryl, how many? Tens of thousands. So what's your plan? And then everybody starts looking down like, nope, they don't have a plan. So I certainly love her approach to it, because at that point she was able to quiet the mob and to get her group reeled back in, and she said as much. I mean, she went on record of saying we all have to act as one. Ecom, super chat, and thanks so much, Ecom, says, how did Alpha know about the Blizzard crossing? Weren't they south for the winter? Does she have people stay behind? Great point. They are always watching. Or, if you guys really think there's people on the inside, dead walkers. I mean, they're I think that was one of those things. Ecom, I don't know if we're ever going to get the answer to that. Exactly. Omicron says, or Siddiq told Alpha. If you believe that Siddiq is a mole, that works well. I'm not there yet. I'm still of the mindset Siddiq begged for his life. Or there's another mole. Or they saw the proof. Saw the dead walkers. Saw a few arrows that were shot in them. Had a few people stay behind. I mean, there's a lot of ways that they could have got that. But I do think that I would say if I had to pick one of those scenarios, there's people that are behind. And here's why. Siddiq was not there with Aaron and Michonne. Siddiq didn't know that Aaron and Michonne went across the bridge. So they're watching. Based on that scene, I would say it's not outside the scope that Alpha left a few of them back. You know what? We're going south. We got to get some more Guardians. A couple of you stay back, keep a close eye on them. Well, and here's why we know this. We saw 3 of them. Now, I'm gonna blow your mind here in a minute. Christmas Girl says, what if the kiss is Carol hallucinating again? Wait a minute. I got to process that for a minute. Carol thinks she's Michonne. Yeah, that might be a little bit of a stretch. Well, see, Amy Ferrer says, Angela Kang said Michonne and Zeke have a relationship. But let me go back on that, Amy, because I'm going to have to look up these interviews. She did say something along those lines, but she did say something interesting. Let me go back to Christmas Girl's thought. And the interview, I don't think point blank said that Michonne and Zeke have a relationship. She said something along the lines of, it's complicated because Zeke and Carol, Zeke and Michonne, that would support Carol's state of mind. It might be a little bit of a stretch. I don't want to go on record with that just yet. Let me do a little bit of research and go back to that interview. But there was something that tied all 3 of them together. So I still think that's a little bit much. That might be a little bit much. I think that might be beyond her mind. Shannon in the house. Shannon says, sorry I'm late. Negan is proving his leadership qualities are exactly what the group will come to need very soon. He's playing it smart for now. No doubt about it, Shannon. I absolutely love this. And I think part of the reason why I love this is we were so far ahead of the curve on this one. Go ahead. Raise your hand if you were that eternal hater of Negan and you just softened up a little bit watching him give the water to Aaron and help him up and going out and protecting him. Waited till Aaron was in trouble, then saved his life. That last possible moment. But certainly, glad to see it play out that way. Many of you have been on Negan's side for a long time. Absolutely. I was a late adopter, I guess. Like some of you were early adopters. And I think at some point I knew I was going to get there. But God knows we did enough streams and talked about it. I mean, look, we talked about he needs to do A, B, C, D, and E. And once he does all of those things, I'm going to give him another shot. And what's really funny is Judith was not the last part of what we predicted. In fact, and I don't know if you guys remember this, the Aaron scene, we indirectly predicted that as well. I'm going to go back to a stream from over a year ago. We said Negan would need to be imprisoned. Maggie would need to spare him. That happened. Judith would need to form a bond with him because we like Judith. he would need to save Judith, which he did. And then one additional was he would need to be in a situation where they relied on his barbaric leadership and he'd have to save someone else. And that happened with Aaron. So I feel like this has come full circle. Now, keep in mind, we've also kind of put it out there that Negan will straddle that line. And I think straddling that line was him sitting back watching, waiting till the last moment and saying, behind you. And waiting for that last moment. It's almost like, how long can I wait before I have to save this guy? Like he's getting some typical Negan kicks out of it, but then he realizes like he's got to be reformed. So he's certainly pushing it. And, as we said before, I think this is just something that him and Aaron feel right now. The rest of the group isn't going to know about it, and they're not going to feel it. So he's going to have to do even more to win over the whole group. And that's I think, going to be the alpha kill. But I'm going to go even a little bit further. And I think Negan is going to kill Alpha. And I think he's going to say, I think Alpha is going to give him Lucille. I'm sorry. Michonne is going to give him Lucille. And I think Negan is going to be the one to kill Alpha. And he is going to say these words. Instead of wait till Rick sees this, I think Negan is going to say, wait until Michonne sees this. And unfortunately, Michonne has already left, and Negan will never get to present Alpha's head to Michonne. So I think that's going to be a deviation of how the comic plays out. It didn't all make sense to me at that point, but I think that's going to be one of the variations is instead of him going back and impressing Rick, I think he's going to do it for Michonne, and he's never going to get the chance to do it. Leaves it a little bit open and doesn't quite brings that story full circle. Got a lot of predictions, everybody. Just a lot of things that... are you guys hyped about The Walking Dead? I mean, it is like if Fear the Walking Dead is, I don't know, what's the worst holiday out there? Like, it's still a holiday, but if it's the worst holiday, then The Walking Dead is Christmas. So every Sunday, it's like Christmas. And you can just feel the energy. I mean, the conversation, the story, it's just unbelievable. Storm 3851, more hype than I've ever been before. I mean, I see some of your comments and how pumped up you guys are. Absolutely love it. So, I certainly agree, Shannon, with Negan's leadership, and it's just what the group needed. And, like I said, from a personal level, I feel good about that because we've been on that for a long time. Not just on the fact that Negan's going to be redeemed, but Negan would be redeemed and he would be a resource. He would be important again. Wilson, super chat. Wilson says, season has been amazing. Who would have thought without Rick? Me. Wilson, I do want to go back and talk about that a little bit. Because I do like me some Rick Grimes, but there's no doubt two things kind of came true. One, we all said we needed Rick Grimes in the Walking Dead universe. That happened. But I'll say this again. I said it when Rick left. The television show does not need Rick Grimes. The franchise needs Rick Grimes. The concept of Rick. The acting is better. It's more developed. How can you argue? Let me make it the case one more time. How many people thought last week's episode was a top 5 episode all time? Get your comments in here. If you guys are watching the playback, let me know right now. If you guys thought last week was a top 5 episode all time. So, judging by the amount of people that liked it, that in itself should tell you that the quality of the episodes without Rick have not suffered at all. Now, look, there's some good Rick Grimes episodes out there, but we're just getting started. I don't disagree with that, Kel. And I'm gonna go on record. Many of you are gonna say it's crazy. It's okay. It's okay. I got to get this in here. I have to get this bold statement in here for the group. And I'm not being blasphemous toward Andrew Lincoln. I love Andrew Lincoln. I think he did an amazing job. I think there were some scenes, and hardcore Walking Dead fans, they're going to crucify me in a couple of minutes. There were some, Coral, you go with Michonne. I remember. You talking to me? There was some great acting. But I have to say this. Samantha Morton is doing one of the best acting jobs I have ever seen on The Walking Dead. I will put her right beside Andrew Lincoln. You can disagree with me if you want to disagree. I've watched every episode of Walking Dead, but I got to tell you, the way she plays her character, to me, is as good as Andrew Lincoln plays his character. I can't. I'm not saying she's better, but I'm not saying she's a lot worse either. And the quality of people they have acting right now this is why the show has a great story without Rick there. It's not to say Rick was bad. And I'm going to make a couple more points. We got Amy Ferreira. Rick leaving gives the other actors get more time to act. Absolutely. Now, I'm about to go into Walking Dead Purgatory comment number 2. I'm sorry, Chandler. You were good. I didn't think Chandler Riggs was great. There are characters that are not on the show that I thought were good. I didn't think they were great. And there's characters on the show now. The quality of people acting right now, they're phenomenal. If I put Kaylee Fleming versus Chandler, she's better. She's a better actor. And I'm just kind of watching and waiting for her to do that. And it's not to say that they were terrible. They were good, and I love the show, and I love that moment in time. But I like what the actors, I love what Samantha Morton's doing. I love what Kaylee Fleming is doing. I love, the characters. Luke, I like Luke. Luke is a great actor. Ross, Marquand, Aaron. Aaron is developing. I like Aaron's character. So, and D-Train says Rick was the best. But the problem is he had to monopolize the show. He had to be the best. And now nobody has to be the best. Carol. So let me ask you guys this question. Did Melissa McBride nail it last week? Was she incredible? Lure the Purr. Also, Tyler Bradley says the Whisper arc is my favorite. I've been reading the comics since 2004. Really hope Negan kills Alpha and the show does not need Rick Grimes. I agree with you 100%. Agree with you 100%. Lydia does a good job, and she's in a minor role. I could just rattle off a list of how good all the people are. But you know, I could make the argument just for the sake of making the argument. You know, I think for a lot of people, some people feel guilty about not missing Carl, or they feel guilty about not saying, I still miss Rick. I still miss Rick. But then kind of in their next comment is like, oh my God, the show was so good. The show was so good. And I say, okay, but Rick wasn't in the show. Oh, yeah, I know. I still miss Rick. It's almost like an obligation to miss Rick Grimes. I can tell you, I'm not guilty about it. Rick was a great part of the show. Rick carried the show. His movies are going to be phenomenal. But show's better. Show's better in my mind. There have been more quality episodes. The writing is, I think the chemistry there, Angela Kang tells a story that works for everybody. And it's not Rick's story anymore. Whereas everybody else felt compelled to tell the Rick Grimes story. And you know, later on you can tell the Judith Grimes story if you want to go down that road again. But absolutely not a one-man show anymore. And you know what? I mean, because we could do the recap. We could talk about that and debate that, you know, quite a bit. Okay, Ella Smith. In bold. I still miss Rick and always will, but I still love the show. Don't go there trying to take that away, just saying. Ellis, I can't take anything away from you that you personally feel. But I can certainly ask a question and see how many people, through deductive reasoning, and say how many people think the show is better. And when you ask episode after episode and people, you know, continue to say, oh my God, you know, 10-1 was so good. Oh, 10-2, I love the flashback. I love the story. 10-3, one of the best I've ever seen. And the common denominator in all of that is Rick's not there. I'm not blaming Rick for the show not being as good. I'm saying somebody else hit it here. There's an evolution in there's more to go around and the story seems more complete, where it's not 40 minutes of what's going to happen to Rick and the people associated with Rick. This past week was Eugene and Rosita. It was Aaron and Negan. It was Daryl and Carol. It was the Whispers. It was so many different things. And the Rick Grimes movie, you get all the Rick Grimes you want there. You don't have to miss him. But from a TV standpoint, just saying. Eric Beach, Kills. What is your big prediction for episode number 4? Going to be a lot of fighting at Hilltop. Eric, I'm going to say I feel like we're going to get a death. And I'll tell you what kind of death I think we're going to get, because we haven't had that. I'll get to that one. Amy Ferreira, Kills. Rick is woven everywhere throughout The Walking Dead. Yeah, you know what? If it's woven this season, it's woven with a very thin thread because there aren't a lot of Rick Grimes references out there. The Brave Man, okay, there's your small thread that's being woven through it. Michonne might leave. There will be a Rick clue that's out there, but the new series might have it. But it's certainly fading. And I think there will be a reference to it because they got to hype up the movie. I mean, they're not going to go into the movie not using a platform to advertise that. Of course they're going to have that because you're on the big screen. RJ, you're incorrect. I disagree. Rick is not the Walking Dead. I just think that's disrespectful to all the other actors that are still on the show. Eric, with this week, I'm going to say the show goes back to somebody gets bit. That would be my bold prediction. I think somebody's going to turn this week. We haven't seen that in a while. And Michael Cutlass, directed it. So you know there's going to be some battle, there's going to be some war, there's going to be some good fighting. But I feel like it's going to be another death by bite. Because, you know, with the special effects, they keep getting better and better. And it's been a while since we've seen like a good Walker scene where they turned and something happened. And I want to see it be scary. Like, it's hard to do that. I think there's a challenge for the writers. And I think there's a challenge for the props. Is, can they get us to feel that again? Benjamin Stevenson, we're kind of seeing the world that Rick built now as they honor him and live on, and now we get to appreciate all the other stories moving on. Fair enough. And I'm certainly, knowing Rick's part in the comics and knowing Dwight's part in the comics with the Whisperers and how that played out and seeing it play out without them involved is very interesting to me how they're telling a good story. So, how many people, Lisa Bernthal, I totally agree, Chris. It's Rick's story no matter how many times Kiel says he disagrees. He always thinks his opinion is the only right one. So, Lisa, question for you. So, how do you feel about Carol and Alpha standoff? And actually, everybody else can answer this question. It's a little bold since you made that statement. How do you feel about Carol and Alpha? Those scenes. And actually, anybody wants to help Lisa out, feel free. Love it? How many people love the interaction between Carol and Alpha? That Alpha's doing an amazing job and Carol is doing a crazy good job. Love it. Lisa, you're aware that Carol died in the prison, right? So would you prefer that Carol was dead and that Rick has those scenes with Alpha? Do you think that would be better than what Carol is doing with Alpha right now? Because I think it's amazing. And that's a Rick story that was given to Carol. Unbelievable. The chemistry. But she could be dead, and we could never have Carol throughout that. Ecom. Who's in danger at Hilltop next week? Magnus Group. I do feel like Magnus Group, Ecom. A bite. And I think somebody's got to go. Yeah, I could certainly see someone in Magnus Group. We're going to be 4 episodes in, 4 episodes strong. Lisa, give it up. I mean, you're dragging this thing out, and I think you're making it like a personal conflict along these ways. So there's nothing personal with you, but you keep on saying the same thing over again. And I'm only going to call you out because the comment was that saying this is entirely Rick's story, to me, is disrespectful to the other actors. I did preface that by saying you certainly have a right to feel that way, but there's a whole lot of other people that feel the different way. And if 2 or 3 of you want to be the spokesperson for Andrew Lincoln and Rick Grimes, so be it. Then do it. However, there's nothing wrong with having a different opinion, and you can disagree with that. But you just keep on like it's like you want to antagonize it, and it's not trying to be antagonistic. There are examples that are going to be made in this stream, and the examples are going to be there are other stories that are being told. And if there's other stories that are being told with other actors that are involved, they deserve the same opportunity. It's not, in my mind, it's not Rick's story. It is Carol's story. It's my story. It's your story. It's all of us that get together and talk about it. It's Carl's story. It's Michonne's story. It's everybody is a part of that story. And if you feel like it's Rick's story, so be it. You feel like it's Rick's story. I would say that that is an opinion that is in the minority, though. And you turn it around and say, well, Kills, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying that if 1,000 people watch this stream and 990 have an opinion and 10 have the minority opinion, I'm going to point out that whether it's Chris, whether it's you, whether it's 4 or 5 other people, that that's the minority opinion. No one is demeaning you. I'm just saying that your opinion is in the minority. Would you agree with that? Would you agree that your opinion is an opinion that is not shared by the majority of the people that are out there? That's the point. Doesn't mean one's right or the other's right. It just means that that's the development of the story. We could go on and on and on about it over and over again. It's not a personal criticism. The story, you can make the story whatever you want it to be. But for me, and I think for most in the group, I feel, and I'm going to ask this, and it's not to beat a dead horse. How many of you feel a part of the story? How many people were immersed in that story this week? That when Alpha kind of told that, when Alpha gave you chills, and Carol's story, you feel a little bit of what Henry feels. That's the only point I'm trying to make. That we're involved in that. And it exists without Rick in my mind, but the movie will not. So I love Rick being in the universe. I'm okay with him not being on the show. Rick had to take a helicopter ride to make The Walking Dead bigger than him and expand the universe. Now we can have more Walking Dead than we were if it were only Rick. And don't get me wrong. I certainly love what Rick is going to do. And I'm on board. I think Rick's going to be like a renegade. I think Rick's going to be a badass, and he's going to expand the universe and continue to have that effect on The Walking Dead. Now, I do want to ask, as we mellow this conversation back out, we got everybody back on the same page. How many of you feel like there will be to use Amy's words a little bit earlier, that there will be Rick kind of woven into the new series, the one that's a little bit more into the future? Now, certainly, I would, if I had that platform, I would try to get a Rick reference. I would try to get something in there because I think it's a strong basis. Look, what was the best Fear of the Walking? I hate to say it because I know we're kind of on the downside with Fear of the Walking Dead. But the best Fear of the Walking Dead last season was a reference to Rick. So, when in doubt, they can certainly sort of throw that out there. And I don't think we're done this season. I think there's going to be several more Rick references that are out there, especially when Michonne leaves. I still think that's the reason why she's leaving. And hopefully that's going to play into Maggie, why Maggie comes back. They were a little dicey in the way they took her out. They're going to have to be better with the way they bring her back in. Oh, Taya, that's vicious. Taya says, I want Maggie on the Pike. No. How did you guys feel about Chris Jericho saying that he wants Maggie to come back to kill Negan? That was certainly a bold statement. Not the most popular statement I've heard. It's like just when most people start liking Negan again, he's like, I need Maggie to come back so she can kill him. Ben Stevenson, I would love a beer bottle shaped hot air balloon in the new series just floating by random. Hey, Jimbo the Beer Bow lives on. Lisa, we're okay. I will tell you guys, we're always going to have differing opinions. In 5 years, we get debate, we get chat, we analyze things, we break things down. There's going to be all different types of arguments. That's what makes our funnel theories work. Is some of the best theories out here are theories that many of us disagree on. That's not going to change. At the end of the day, we're going to get together, we're going to talk about the show, and no, there's no hard feelings anywhere. I mean, we're certainly going to disagree on things. I don't agree with Chris Jericho, but far as I know, me and Chris Jericho are still good. We never were anything. Eric Beach, I think one of the Pike people would be Earl. Eric, he could be. I mean, I'm indifferent toward Earl. I will tell you, when we did the Pike prediction earlier, I do think the 4 or 5 that we talked about have much stronger ties and much stronger story. So, Eric, you did ask this a little bit earlier, one of the predictions. If Kelly is not one of the ones on the Pike, Kelly could be one of the ones that is bitten this week. I don't see Kelly long term. I really do think that whole, Connie building her up like, hey, you're losing your hearing, that's a superpower. I don't think Kelly adapts to that as well. and we've already seen her struggle with it. So either this week could be the week where she doesn't hear the walkers coming up and she gets bitten. Now, then that would free up a Pike for somebody else. But I just don't feel like Earl would add value to a Pike. And maybe not everybody does. But if there's going to be a second Pike scene, walking up and seeing Earl, I think the second one is going to be a lot more tragic and a lot more deeply rooted than the first one. Especially if you have Ezekiel and Rosita, you already got more star power between the two of them than all of the rest of them added together. And Tay, I agree. She said this one has to be more impactful. How many people think we will see the morbid, gruesome scenes this time around of some of the stars dying, whether it's Ezekiel or Rosita, that they won't gloss over it, that it is going to, that they broke us in with the first one, and the second one is going to scar us. I feel like this one is going to scar us. Even just the Alpha saying that about Henry, I've kind of imitated it multiple times in the stream, and some of you guys are like, ooh, that's creepy, Kills. Yeah, I mean, even when I say it, I give myself cold chills. I don't think I'm going to say it anymore. But just Alpha talking like that is kind of, it's disturbing. So if I see it, it's going to be much, much more disturbing. Yeah, I agree. So I asked this question, and we're going to get several more of these chats, these debates, these theories in here. I will tell you this, Lisa. The nice thing is we didn't really have any heated conversations in Fear. So certainly the passion is back with The Walking Dead. Absolutely love it. And I love the strong ties to it. I love that you guys are willing to put a stand down, get your opinion out there. With that being said, before we wind the stream down, because we're like over an hour. We're like an hour and 15 minutes. Biggest shock from this week's episode, or last week's episode, 10-3. I want to know the biggest shock that you had. What was the most caught you off guard, surprised you, whether it was the writing, whether it was the relationships, whether it was the darkness, whatever. What was the biggest shock? Alpha telling Carol, yeah, Taya, that to me was number one on my list. Carol in the trap hanging upside down. And I've heard this a couple times. Is the Carol scene a way not to do the Father G scene with the tower? Do you guys still think that we'll see that tower scene? Or do you think that Carol kind of did enough of it, of her getting her foot called, and that's going to satisfy some of the comic fans? Phyllis says, Carol screaming out for Daryl to help her. She's never called out for help before. And you know what, Phyllis? And Aaron calling out for Negan to help him. I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I felt like when Aaron first called, and you guys tell me if you felt that way, or maybe I'm trying to get too deep, but when Aaron first called Negan, I almost felt like he thought Negan was his prisoner when he was first losing his sight, and he needed to find him. And then later on, I felt like he was transitioning and realized he needed Negan. Negan? And then when he saw Negan, he backed off. I don't know. I know it's a minor thing. But keep in mind, Negan, and I'm going to ad-lib here for you guys. Negan set up that scene. Did he say pretending? Let me get I don't have the exact wording. But he said something like, you know what I see? I see someone that's pretending. Or something along those lines. He was basically telling Aaron, and he hit a nerve with Aaron right away. Aaron, I thought, hit a nerve inadvertently with Negan. He thought he was going to hit a nerve by saying your wife, but I felt like he hit a nerve with him by saying, you should go away, we don't need you. That's what hurt him. But initially, when Negan said, if you don't protect it, Aaron was like, are you saying him dying was my fault? No doubt about it, Aaron was affected by that. But also, I feel like it's conversations on both parts that needed to be had. I'm going to go back to Shannon's super chat earlier in the stream where Shannon said, Negan is showing the leadership that made him successful. So, Negan sees Aaron is hurting. And you know, what do we say now? What's the cliche? The elephant in the room. Negan went right after it. He didn't hold back anything, and certainly said, if you don't protect it, it becomes somebody else's. He had to get Aaron to open up. That was the only way I think Aaron was going to be angry. All these people are walking around holding something in with Negan, and I think Negan just get it over with. Beat me down, do what you need to do, but then accept me. Anybody, last point, anybody ever had that where you were just like in this argument or in this situation and you were tired of arguing and you just said, look, just say what's on your mind, let's get it over with and let's move on. Let's just get it off our chest. Tyler Bradley super chatted up, says Maggie Negan for 2020, the leaders we need. Yeah, I always make it a point to avoid politics. So, but yes, that is neutral enough. Maggie and Negan. I know, Tyler, you're a big Maggie fan. I would say, how about Carol and Daryl 2020? Let's go with that. Hey, everybody, we are closing in on an hour and a half. I want to thank you guys for. I should change the title. It was not even a complete recap. We only got through. I knew this was going to happen. We only got through about half the recap. Everybody is just so fired up about all the different scenes and all the different things. And we're going to do this again tomorrow. So I've got another topic we're going to talk about tomorrow. And then there's still about 10 other subplots that we can break down. I guess we'll call it Complete Recap Part 2. Let's finish this tomorrow. Anybody want to talk about this episode again tomorrow? If you do me a favor. Give me a 999 in chat right now. Also, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Benjamin Stevenson, Carol and Daryl, 22. Bitch has to die. Love it. Love that scene. I want to thank the Patreon Army. You guys can see them up in the top left-hand corner. Many of those Patreons have been supporters of this channel for 2 years or more. Long time. I've been bringing this channel to you. Thank you so much to each and every person. If you guys watched the playback, I took about 60 seconds to call them out. Also, top right-hand corner, a brand new group, PDL sponsors. They bring our game to you every Friday night. We're doing it also on Saturday. If you guys have not participated in that, come and hang out with us. It's casual. It's relaxed. It's a good time. Everybody gets involved. Certainly love it. It's a lot of development still left, but thank you for everything that you guys do. The moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kel, and also tonight we had a lot of people super chatting it. So to all the super chatters out there that got their comments included in this, and the super chatters do a couple things. Not only do they get the comments included, but they bring up topics that many people want to talk about. So I want to shout out Eric Beach, Tyler Bradley, Fluff the Flamethrower, Joe Fulford, Gusha Gushe, Will the Bill, Ecom, Christmas Girl, Shannon M, Wilson, Amy Ferrero, Ben Stevenson. Thank you so much to each and every one of you guys for super chatting. And also, all the people typing 999, I want to give a huge, Chris Rainig wants me to sing a song in Alpha's voice. I'll do that for you Friday, Chris. Show up Friday night, and I'll have something special for you. We also got Tyler Bradley. One more super chat in here. That's okay. We love to be here anyway. And I'm here because each and every one of you. Good, bad, heated, passionate, agree, disagree. We're all fans of the show. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being here each and every night. So one big group shout out to the 999 Army. Thank you so much. I will see everybody tomorrow night. What time, everybody? 7:30 and 9:30. We'll see all of you guys then. Have a good night, everybody. Peace.